Hello everyone and welcome to this new bio class in which we will talk about the biochemical and immunological indicators. Okay, first of all, the biochemical evaluation. We will stop there. Okay, it has four fundamental objectives, which are the diagnose deficiency, states of malnutrition, confirm specific deficiency states. This means like by analyzing a blood sample or an urinary sample, we can detect or identify which malnutrition or which nutrients are in deficiency in a specific group of population. Also for detecting metabolic disorders associated with nutritional imbalances, and also to be follow up over the time in case of nutrition imbalance. Okay, it is really useful, as I said before, to evaluate nutritional status. We have the main used is the hematological study. The most common one is iron deficiency, which affect to the site of red blood cells, which produces microcytosis, which are red blood cells with a small size. The second most common one is the vitamin B12 deficiency anemia, which plays an important role in the production of red blood cells. Then we have the pernicious anemia, the folic acid deficiency, which produces megaloblastic anemia, which are red blood cells with a much bigger size, and also anemias caused by chronic diseases. These are the most common ones to see in the population. Okay. Then we also have the sickle cell anemia, the hemolytic anemia, idiopathic anemia, or thalassemia by maybe inherited. Okay, this is more related with genetics. Then talking about the chemical indicators, we can divide it in two. We have urinary indicators and blood parameters. Okay, inside the urinary indicators, we can identify the different things, such as the nitrogen catabolites indicating the protein intake. Okay, also the water soluble vitamins, because we have to remember that water soluble vitamins are released through urine. So if we found low levels of water soluble vitamins in urine, we can determine that maybe that patient has a deficiency. Okay, and the last one are minerals, whose concentration is reduced in case of deficiency, as we said before with the water soluble vitamins. Then, talking about the blood parameters, we can find or we can identify the protein status, the carbohydrates intakes, lipids, vitamins, and minerals too. One of the parameters in the protein status, the most amount of protein in the blood, is influenced not only by its intake, but also by deficit of some vitamins or minerals involved in metabolism, such as zinc, pyridoxine, etc. This is important to know because it allows us to see like the global relationship among all the systems and nutrients in the human body. So if we have low levels of protein in blood, it doesn't mean the patient is eating low levels of protein. Maybe it's because he's not eating the amount of zinc he should eat. Also, determine the albumin and transport proteins such as transferrin or prealbumin can help us to know the amount of protein in the blood, and also how much time the patient has been in malnutrition, because it depends also in the life or the life the protein used to have. Okay, the shortest period of life the protein has, the reason the malnutrition is. Okay, and the higher it means that the patient has been in malnutrition for a long time. Then, talking about the carbohydrates intake, it should be noted that the case of diabetes or glucose intolerance are those in which the normal limits are exceeded. Okay, we have several parameters to see if it's been exceeded for a long time or a short time. For example, the glycated hemoglobin. Okay, or yes, the most common one is the glycated hemoglobin. Then Talking about the lipids, it's important to know and to analyze the levels of LDL, HDL, cholesterol. Okay, um, and also the from which group of fatty acids is the most common during the intake. It's not the same eating a lot of saturated fatty acids than eating polyunsaturated fatty acids or monounsaturated fatty acids. Okay. On the other hand, it's important to remark that low cholesterol levels indicates also malnutrition, growth retardation, increased susceptibility to infections, dermatitis, hair loss, etc. Because it's part of cell membranes. Okay, it's important to know the role of cholesterol and the whole nutrients in our body to understand all these things. In vitamins, we can use different biochemical indicators for detecting the deficiencies. Um, if talking about the minerals, we can also detect some deficiencies just looking for the minerals in the blood. We have two different methods. Okay, direct methods such as determine it directly in blood, urine, hair, nails, or other tissues, or indirect methods such as the ones based on the performance of functional tests, where there are some enzymes or enzymatic activities which is determined or where the emission of metabolites can be seen, because we have to remember that minerals also play an important role in the metabolism of some nutrients. Then talking about voy a decir esto. Miren. Then talking about immunological indicators, we can see that there is a relationship between the malnutrition and the immunity and the immune system. Okay, if we have a bad nutritional status, it's more probable that we have deficiencies in our immune system. The immune system is affected by many factors. Okay, sometimes for detecting alterations in the immune system, we used to detect it by cytokines or the response to skin tests. Some of the factors that can alter the immune system or can affect it are pharmacological treatments, such as people who's been treated for cancer, trauma, edema, sepsis, etc. Talking about cellular immunity, the protein calorie malnutrition can affect the circulatory lymphocytes which are in blood. If we have a malnutrition related with protein and calories, we will have a smaller number at the expense of the T lymphocytes that mature in the thymus. Okay, and they are all necessary for preventing infections. Okay, CD4 the more. Vale, voy a volver a repetir esto. It's important to have all the lymphocytes in the correct levels for preventing infections. Okay, the most common ones for being detected are CD4, which are decreased in malnutrition, and cytotoxic lymphocytes such as CD8 that only suffer a small decrease. It is important also to attend to the ratio CD4 CD8, which becomes a really good nutritional index even in subclinical situations. Okay. The parameters necessary to perform a nutritional status from the point of view of immunity are leukocyte formula and count, lymphocyte subpopulations, functional capacity of cells, and delayed imperceptibility test. Okay, so we need to know how many leukocytes we have in blood, also which populations or subpopulations we have then, and also, as we said before, the imperceptibility test can show us how our immunological system is working. Then talking about humoral immunity, we can find that malnutrition affects humoral immunity too, but less than the cellular immunity. Okay, we need to know also that immunoglobulin A is greatly diminished in the case of malnutrition. Okay, in ads at the level of the nasopharyngeal, respiratory, and the digestive mucosa. So if we have this immunoglobulin decrease, we can see diarrheas and sepsis. Okay, in malnourished children. The higher the biological value of protein ingest, the greater the capacity of B lymphocytes to respond to the immune stimuli. Then, for last, talking about specific immunity, it is assessed by quantifying blood levels of complements, C3 and C4 cells. The cytokines most commonly used in the assessment of malnutrition are interleukin-1, TNF, tumor necrosis factor, TNF, and the interferon. This has been all for this bio class. I hope you enjoyed and it's been useful for you.